Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today, we go racing here at Bristol Motor Speedway, one of my favorite tracks on the schedule, and definitely one of my most successful tracks here on the schedule. But of course, before we get into the Cup Series side of things today, we have Bristol Motor Speedway coming off freshly off of a big episode where we had some developments where Chase Briscoe actually ended up getting injured in Texas Motor Speedway in that 14 car. So Hailie Deegan will be filling in for Briscoe for the next two episodes here in the career mode, and it's going to be really interesting to see what she is able to do here today in this race. But of course, we have the Xfinity Series race to take care of first in the Cheddar's 300 for the Xfinity Series, with Paul Menard behind the wheel for us as usual, as he would qualify up inside the top 10. Usually we qualify well at this track, we run well, and we finish well, so the expectations are always high when it comes to Bristol Motor Speedway there. As you see Paul up the inside of the 10, I believe that is AJ Allmendinger in the 10 car this season. We have here in the career mode a lot of roster changes on the Xfinity side of things. There you see Hailie Deegan running pretty much the same paint scheme she's about to be running here in the Cup Series side of the competition this weekend. Now, as it came through a little bit later in the race, Paul Menard actually got taken 3 wide by Timmy Hill in the 1 car, as well as the 98 of Deegan, and he fell back a little bit after some contact with Timmy Hill, and he kind of struggled in the late stages of this race as he actually gave a bit of a bump to the back of the 98 of Deegan, but she would be able to hang on to it. But then 3 wide a little bit later on there with Ray Black Jr., as well as the 22 of Kevin Magnuson, would once again see Menard fall down the order here. So we came through now to the final moments of this race through turns 3 and 4 for the final time, and once again Paul had fallen down that order towards the end of this race, and it wouldn't be quite the finish we were looking for, but P6 still nonetheless a great effort here in the Cheddar's 300. So Ryan Sieg actually picks up the victory, so a great effort from him and his team there. Now as they will be locked into the playoffs, as you see the rest of the order here. It's actually AJ Allmendinger in the 11 car, not the 10 cars. Mike Carmen would round out the field here in the Xfinity Series. There you see the points currently here on the Xfinity side of things, as well as it's Quinn Helf, I got to remember, who is in the 10 car. Now as we come through though into the Cup Series side of the weekend here at Bristol Motor Speedway, expecting a top 10 qualifying effort for sure, as we have the Pepsi colors on the car for this weekend. Now as we get underway for qualifying, the goal was a 15.837. Usually we'll be right around that goal. We might just barely beat it here as we go down the back stretch into turns 3 and 4, running this high line. Definitely was happy with this lap overall as we come through out of turn 4, crossing the line there with a 15.706, and we qualify P7 here for the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway as we check out the rest of the qualifying order. So we got Hailie Deegan in P11, just outside of the top 10. Christopher Bell and Brent Keselowski make up the front row here in Bristol, but there you see Hailie Deegan in P11 filling in for Chase Briscoe. Now as you see rounding out the top 20, we got Joey Gase with a strong effort, and Tyler Reddick rounds out the top 30, and at the very bottom we got John Hunter Nemechek with our teammate of Alex Bowman all the way down there in P36 for the start of this race. Alright boys, there's no reason we can't win today. We know we're a strong contender every time we come here, but definitely hoping to see Chase Briscoe at the track very soon, and yeah, we're definitely thinking of him. Let's have a good day today. There you hear myself on the radio as we're ready to go green here for the Food City 500. As you see the stories of the race, Joey Gase has been dominant all weekend, and when we say he's been dominant, that means he qualified in the top half of the field. Joey Logano, of course, still angry with us, and there you see the pole winner of Christopher Bell with that Irwin Tools paint scheme. I should mention, I brought back, finally, the name indicators above the car, so if you're maybe newer to the series, you will be able to get a better idea of who's in what car here with these modded driver changes. Now, as the Food City 500 is underway, as we are now green at Bristol Motor Speedway from the 7th starting position. Just behind us we have the 23 of Bubba Wallace now as we go down into turns 1 up the inside of his owner driver Denny Hamlin there as we exit turns 2 heading down this back straightaway. Definitely gotta wonder when a guy like Denny Hamlin could potentially retire from this career mode, as Kevin Harvick, he's retiring at the end of this season. I would expect to potentially see Hamlin retire along with Harvick within another season or 2 here in the career mode. And then he's really just going to be full-on owner, basically, in this career mode now. As you might see an announcement, of course, about some new teams coming up very soon. We really haven't had, other than Kevin Harvick's retirement announcement, we really haven't had any silly season news come out. I think this is probably the most calm silly season so far, leading into the upcoming season that we've had in quite some time here, as we're now up the inside of Brad Keselowski. We were up inside the top 5 here on lap 7, and I should mention, Christopher Bell was really slow. I mean, of course, here he is leading right now, but he had no speed whatsoever in that 20 car. Now we jump up to the outside around Harrison Burton. His teammate of Bell continues to lead, but we come through out of turns 4, and we're going to blow the doors right on the 19 and the 20 as we go down into turns 1. So all of a sudden here in stage 1, we're going to go from P7 to P1 now and take over the lead from Christopher Bell, who had absolutely nothing for myself. So on lap 10, we take over the lead here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and basically we would just start to drive away here within a few laps. We had already opened up the gap to well over a second, but that actually hit the outside wall there into turn 3 as Austin Dillon. He's now on the pit lane. He blows an engine there, and that would cost him some time. He would actually get back on the track, so that would not be the end of his day. But we continue just driving away. Now, as Hailie Deegan would actually climb her way into second place. She started in P11, now up into P2 as we're working our way through some lap traffic here in the final 10 laps or so of this first and opening stage up the inside of LaJoy, passing him, no problem. Then we come through, actually getting into the back there of John Hunter Nemechek, sending him sideways into turns 1 there. A bit of a moment with him, but fortunately it doesn't really turn into anything too much. We continue to go down this back straightaway. Moving in front of him now is the 12 of Ryan Blaney, goes spinning though out of turns 4, collecting Bubba Wallace, who gets some damage. Cindric, his teammate, involved, and the 17 as well as Chris Buescher involved as a caution would come out here in Bristol now after that incident. So all of a sudden that's going to bunch up the field with myself, Hailie Deegan, Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, your top 4, as nobody is going to be coming into the pit lane right here. We're all going to stay out and get ready to scrap it out for the stage 1 victory. I should mention, though, for Ryan Blaney, that would be the end of his day, so very unfortunate for a driver like Blaney, who's had a strong start to the season, but there is a DNF here today in Bristol now as we are back underway with 5 laps to go in this first stage. Kevin Harvick and Eric Almirola on that row behind us. Hailie Deegan to my outside there as we already get clear of her as we exit turns 2, and now that really should just allow us to open up a gap right off the bat here in these final couple laps of this first stage. Now, as Kevin Harvick, he was trying to get to the back of me and look up the inside, but didn't quite have enough now as we were already pulling away with 4 laps to go here in stage 1. So it was no contest in these final few laps of the first stage. We came through to start the final lap, and now Justin Haley had actually moved up into second place in that call late car as I clipped the outside wall again there as we exit turns 2, but it does not affect us too much as we go down this back straightaway for the final time into turns 3 and 4. So we are going to come through to easily win stage 1 in the Food City 500. No problems at all. We come through to cross the line to get an extra playoff point with that stage win here in stage 1. Alright boys, this car is fast. I like what we got here. I really don't see how we lose this one today. Quite the top 5 you're looking at right here. We got Justin Haley, Daniel Suarez, Hailie Deegan, Cole Custer, then we got Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, Alex Bowman, and William Byron rounding out the top 10. But this time, everybody coming into the pit lane. We have some repairs to make to the car, but we put 2 cans of fuel in, as well as 4 fresh tires as we get ready to go green for the start of the second stage. As you see the rest of the order, currently Blaney now 9 laps down, of course, being out of this race now as we're going to get ready to go green for stage 2, where we lose 2 positions and give up the lead to Hailie Deegan, and Custer moves through into second place as well now. So of course, as we get ready to go green for the start of this second stage here in Bristol Motor Speedway, we're going to go through into the AMP segment. There you had the AMP segment here from Bristol Motor Speedway in the Food City 500. Now at the start of the second stage, we dropped down to P4 on that restart. And we had these drivers in front of us kind of mixing it up here now as we came through to lap 6 of being on the inside and the outside now as Deegan ends up giving the lead to the 41 of her teammate, of Cole Custer, and then Kyle Larson's going to go through on the inside as well and make a pass, but then he would move up to the outside and Deegan would move to the bottom, so Deegan would actually pass Larson back here within just a couple laps, and I decided I was going to try and follow Deegan here on the inside and see if we can move our way forwards past Kyle Larson and potentially past Cole Custer now that he once again gives up the lead to Hailie Deegan as we dive down into turns 3, trying to get to that door of Custer. We do clear Kyle Larson, that's the main thing right there now as we go down into turns 1, so we move up into P3 with 18 laps to go in this second stage here as we go down this back straightaway. Couldn't quite make it happen there, but we would once again get up the inside of Custer. This time I decided to throw a slide job on him here into the corner, and we take over second place as we exit turns 4, and then we would slowly but surely reel in that 14 of Hailie Deegan. And I decided once I get the run like this right here as we exit turns 4, I'm not wasting any time on trying to complete this pass for the lead. I send it into turns 1, a bit of a slide job again, and we now take over the lead once again here from Bristol as we would immediately try to open up that gap here, and sure enough, we would do exactly that here as we came to the lap 16, and you can see the cars in my rear view mirror just getting smaller and smaller because we just continue to drive away. So we now just focus on hanging on to this second stage victory here as we were now once again closing in on lap traffic, and sure enough we were not having really any problems getting around these guys now as you see me pass Corey LaJoy. Then we will get to John Hunter Nemechek, we'd pass him as well, 3 wide actually with him, as well as BJ McLeod. A little bit of contact with that 38 as we came through out of turns 2, but fortunately it didn't turn into anything as Kyle Larson, he ends up moving up into the second position as we come through to the final handful of laps in stage 2 to the back of Derek Kraus there. As you guys know, he will be going to the number 45 car, which will be the second car for 2311 Racing in the career mode next season, which that car was designed by Lation in a beautiful paint scheme he did come up with now as we come through out of turns 4. Now putting Todd Gilliland a lap down, and then we come through to the final lap of stage 2, and we had lapped up to about 28th place now, running down Bubba Wallace as we go down this back straightaway. Bubba had a good run going on early in the race, but now down to P27. I decided to do him a favor right here. I didn't put him a lap down. I could have easily done it there as we came through out of the corner, but I decided to just let Bubba stay on the lead lap and not be forced into a position where he needs to take the lucky dog and move to the back now. So Bubba remains on the lead lap here as we win once again another stage and pick up another playoff point. And if we win this race, we will be the first driver this season to win multiple races, and we clearly have the car to do that now as we get ready to come into the pit lane here for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. I didn't really see a need to make any adjustments on the car, obviously, considering how fast we have been all race long. Usually there's someone that is competitive enough to stick with me here throughout this race at Bristol every time we come here, but we haven't really seen that today as we get ready to go green for the final stage. So now here we are with Hailie Deegan moving up 1 spot, overtaking Eric Almirola on the pit lane. Now as the third and final stage here in the Food City 500 is underway, and no matter what happens at this point, Hailie Deegan has done a really good job there in that 14 car in place of Chase Briscoe. Definitely a good audition it has been to potentially move up into the 4 car, replacing Kevin Harvick at the end of this season, as we still don't know who is going to replace Harvick, and this rumors have been it's going to be between both Hailie Deegan as well as Brad Keselowski, and Brad Keselowski right now runs in that 4th position here just behind Kyle Larson. Deegan manages to actually get up my inside here as we go down into turns 3 and 4. I'm on my line that I'm most comfortable with, but she's still doing a tremendous job fighting up the inside, and this battle would continue on here for the coming laps now as we come through out of turns 2. Larson losing ground under attack from Brad Keselowski as we continue side by side with Deegan into turns 3 as well as turns 4. Now as she did not want to give up, and I of course didn't want to give up either, I wanted to still lead as we came through to lap 69. Nice 57 laps to go, and still side by side for the lead with Deegan down the back straightaway as we go down into turns 3 as we continue to try and just defend over her and get clear and then drive away here as we come through to lap 70. Then we come through now to lap 72, still side by side by the way on the outside here as we come through turns 3 and 4, but the caution actually comes out here, and I get really lucky with this call because Deegan's car was actually ahead of mine. I went and looked in the replays after the race. Her car was ahead of mine, but the scoring still had me as a leader, and I did not know exactly what call to make here, but I ended up doing 4 tires based off of past career mode videos at this racetrack. I determined that 4 tires would be probably the call to go with here on the pit lane to make it to the end of this race without really any issues, but I end up being wrong. We end up losing 12 positions and drop down to P13, so all of a sudden now Hailie Deegan, Kyle Larson on the front row. Now we have to work our way through the field now on lap 76 of 125 as we restart in P13, so not a a whole lot of time left, and all of a sudden here we are, the furthest we've been down all day, and we have to work our way through the field to try and have a chance to potentially get this race victory back from either Kyle Larson or Hailie Deegan. I was a little bit frustrated about this call because, like I mentioned there, I went and looked back at past Bristol career mode races from the NASCAR Heat 5 series, and just kind of looked at when sometimes the cautions come out around the same area in this race, and I determined, based off of what I had seen, that 4 tires was going to be the way to go, but unfortunately, you can see I was wrong, but we really weren't struggling too much working our way through traffic. It was definitely taking up some time as we were now up the inside of Chase Elliott, but there was only 45 laps to go at this point, but we clear him, move up into P7, then I get up to P6, we jump up to the outside here, and now pass our affiliate teammate of William Byron as we go down into turns 1, and then we would pass Cole Custer, then we also pass Zane Smith in the McLaren, so all of a sudden we move up to P3 and waste absolutely no time whatsoever running down both Hailie Deegan as well as Kyle Larson, and I really think this right here was a big statement on our car's speed, because we had no competition, it felt like, here throughout this race now as we go down into turns 1 and 2, now around the outside of the 14 of Hailie Deegan down this back straightaway into turn 3. Kyle Larson, seeing myself coming very quickly into his rear view mirror, he's trying to get away as quickly as he can, but now he gets stuck behind lap traffic like Casey Kane in the Red Bull, and I jump into the mix as well. Casey Kane having a very rough day in P34. I'm on the outside of Larson, but we kind of got stuck right here behind Corey LaJoie, so I end up actually dropping in behind Larson, following him through this traffic, and then I would once again get to the outside of him, but this time I decided, you know what, I'm tired of waiting, so I decided to go 3 wide around the outside of Derek Kraus here as we exit the corner, still side by side with Larson as we dive down into turn 3. A little bit of contact with Austin Dillon, who blew an engine earlier, and now we're going to pass him as Ross Chastain runs P28. So now we officially cleared Kyle Larson for the lead here with 28 laps to go as we now continue to make these 3 wide moves on the outside. Then we would end up getting away from Kyle Larson, running down Joey Logano here, our rival, as we went down into turns 1 with 25 laps to go, and we passed Logano with no problems whatsoever, and we just continue putting cars laps down now as we came through to lap 103 to the outside of the rookie of Sheldon Creed, and we had also passed Harrison Burton as well, as he's had a bit of a rough season so far in that 19 car, replacing Martin Truex Jr. Then we even put Denny Hamlin a lap down, who's not running very well today. Keselowski all the way down to P20. He was up in P3, I think, at the start of this 3rd stage. So a lot of drivers, some big names I should say, really falling down the order now as we come through to lap 110. The caution would actually come out here in Bristol, and I was very sad to see this, of course, because we had a very good lead, and now lap traffic really isn't going to be into the mix. Cole Custer coming into the pit lane, he was not the reason for the caution, surprisingly. I actually do not know who brought out the caution, but either way, Cole Custer would come in to the pit lane, and we would get ready to go back green here once again, but it's only going to be about 10 laps or so, maybe 11 or 12 to go as we get ready to go green here with Kyle Larson joining myself on the front row, Hailie Deegan, Eric Almirola, William Byron round out the top 5, Alex Bowman up to P6 after working his way through the field as this race has gone on after starting in the mid-30s as the green flag is back out, and just 12 laps to go here in the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Immediately we are clear of Kyle Larson as well as Hailie Deegan as they are side by side for 2nd place down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. Now as we come through out of turn 4, though, we already are opening up a bit of a gap to that 14 of Hailie Deegan as well as the 5 of Kyle Larson here as we come through out of turn 2, but something started to kind of happen with this car in these final few laps. I started to get a little bit loose here and there, and now we were about 0.8 of a second in front of Deegan, but I was getting really loose right here. You see out of turns 2, out of turns 4, the same thing was happening, and all of a sudden we were a bit under attack here from Hailie Deegan, who's looking in her first Cup race of the season and her 2nd Cup race overall to get a potential race victory. So all of a sudden I backed the pace down. I said, you know what, we got to make sure we bring this car home and pick up this victory here. So I was able to back it down to a comfortable pace and still managed to hold on to the lead. So we come through to 2 laps to go now as we come through, opening up that gap once again, though, to the 14. We exit turns 4. Final lap is underway here in the Food City 500, just over a second ahead of Deegan. Cole Custer, who was in about 20th place at the time of that restart, works his way up to P3 with those fresh tires as we go down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4 for the final time here at Bristol Motor Speedway. As we exit the corner, we're going to come through to get win number 2 on the season here in Bristol. If it wasn't for me being in the 24 car today, Hailie Deegan would have picked up her first Cup Series victory in replacement of the injured Chase Briscoe there. That would have been huge if Hailie Deegan would have won, but of course we were able to come out on top with the victory now for the second time this season. And I mentioned if we won today, we would be the first multi-race winner this season. So there with that victory. I knew we could come into this race and win. We can always be a contender at this racetrack. We've had a few things go wrong. Usually it's pit strategy involved when something goes wrong, but I was just very glad and fortunate to bring home this victory for you guys here for the second time this season here. As you see the rest of the finishing order for this race, Cole Custer, Alex Bowman round out the third and fourth place. Eric Almirola with a top 5. Daniel Suarez in the top 10. Ryan Preece, Justin Haley had a solid finish up there inside the top 15. Drivers like Denny Hamlin as well as Harrison Burton struggled. As you see, Ryan Blaney at the very bottom of the field would be the only DNF for the day now, so that's going to affect him a little bit in the points. You're going to see the playoff grids here for all three series here with the Truck Series grid as well as now the Xfinity Series grid. Jeremy Clements with 2 wins there, as Kevin Magnussen, he's currently inside the playoffs. He actually missed the playoffs last season in the Xfinity Series. AJ Allmendinger currently the last driver in the playoffs, but here is the Cup Series grid. Zane Smith, Harrison Burton, Justin Haley, Cole Custer, as well as Noah Gragson, currently the first 5 drivers out, as Smith is only out by 5. Burton is surprisingly out by 7 there, as I expect a lot better things from him at this point in the season. So we'll see what happens with him, as Ross Chastain currently holds on to that last spot. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you do know what to do. And of course, before we put an end to this episode, I would just like to say a quick thank you to the Going Racing members here on the channel of MJ, Aiden G, James, Joseph 9001, RJ, Timothy, Bubba Jr., Illinois Diecast, Brett Durward, Devin Roth, NASCAR Collector 3, as well as Movement. As I always say, you guys help me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys, though, in the next one at Richmond Raceway, where Hailie Deegan makes her second start in replacement of Chase Briscoe. Have a great day, everybody.